It's just coming out right away and getting that investigation going.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, they understand that this is the priority. Obviously, there's no place for this, and they preach. I think 2 days before they put out no hate, no speech. And obviously, the women in this league, they know that, and know there's no space for that. And I believe that every player in this league deserves to be treated with respect and want to come to work and just have fun and have a great environment to work at. So I think they've done a great job putting that out, and we're obviously just going to respond as they need to.
Were you able to?
Angel Reese just stepped off the hardwood and into the heat. This time, not against rivals, but against a storm of hate hurled from the stands at an Indiana Fever game. Dubbed the Chi Barbie, she didn't flinch. She clapped back with the kind of fire that turns moments into movements. This wasn't your average courtside shade. It was venom from the bleachers that's now rattled the whole WNBA. Did the crowd cross a line? Did Angel light a fuse? One thing's for sure, this showdown's bigger than basketball now. It's a headline-grabbing, timeline-shaking clash, and everyone's watching.
Well, we've got a couple of different clips here. One is just coming out, just surfacing, and it's Angel Reese speaking to the media, sort of. And you may be like, sort of? Well, yeah, an actual responsible media would have asked follow-up questions, and any organizations that had any worth to them would allow said questions to be asked.
Breaking news. Booing is now apparently a federal crime, at least in Angel Reese's playbook. Step aside applause because Indiana just handed the Chi Barbie a full-blown remix. Cheers in reverse. This is the same Angel who once wore the villain crown like it was fresh off a Paris runway, now suddenly shaken by a few jeers from the stands. Oh, the drama, the betrayal, the absence of fanfare. It's giving Oscar-worthy heartbreak. Funny how fast pride flips to protest when the crowd's love turns lukewarm. In her world, every boo sounds like a betrayal, even when it's just the background buzz of competition.
The reporters ask those questions, framing it in a way like this is all fact, like these things all happened. These guys are all soft. All soft. The reporters at Chicago Sky, the reporters at The Athletic, the reporters at New York Times, the reporters over here, the reporters over there, they're all...
When the Chicago Sky rolled into Indiana to face Caitlin Clark's Fever, the arena felt less like a basketball game and more like a stop on the Taylor Swift Eras tour. But as Angel Reese took the court, the crowd flipped the script, raining down boos that echoed far beyond the hardwood. Team Reese didn't chalk it up to rivalry hype or game day passion. Nope, they called it racism. Because in today's playbook, a boo aimed at a struggling stat sheet somehow morphs into hate speech. Now the internet's in a frenzy, debating whether fans were just being rowdy or rewriting the rules of respect. Is it trash talk or a troubling trend? The buzzer hasn't sounded on this one yet.
WNBA is looking into racist comments aimed at Chicago Sky guard Angel Reese.
Today we are hearing from Reese herself. Tina Nguyen also has team reaction.
In the midst of the WNBA's ongoing investigation of hateful speech from the Sky's season opener against Indiana, Angel Reese is keeping her focus forward, adding, quote, "There's no place in this league for that."
The real gymnastics aren't on the court, they're in the narrative flips. 1 minute, Angel Reese is proudly crowning herself the WNBA's villain, soaking in the spotlight like it's studio lighting. The next, she's crying foul when that villain label actually comes with boos and backlash. So let's get this straight. She wanted smoke, but only the kind that's filtered through Instagram edits and sold on branded hoodies. Now that the crowd's playing its part, booing the bad girl, suddenly it's a crisis. Suddenly we need a referee for feelings. This isn't about hate, it's about control. About wanting the spotlight only when it flatters, not when it flickers. And that's not villainy, that's vanity.
Reese has been doing looks very weird to a lot of people. So throughout the years, Reese has taunted Clark, and at this point, it's apparent that she is not a huge fan of Caitlin. This came to a point in the previous game where Caitlin Clark flagrantly fouled Reese, and she got super upset with Caitlin and called her crazy. The odd thing is, after all these incidents occur, Angel always acts like she has no issue with Caitlin and she's fine with her. Listen to her post-game response about that foul.
Basketball play, refs got it right.
And then she goes and posts online as if nothing happens. The caption of her first post is, "My heart is so full," along with another picture of herself smiling.
Let's talk about the outrage over fans having opinions. Imagine dropping $300 to see Caitlin Clark light it up, only to be handed a motivational TED Talk from Angel Reese on envy and empowerment. No disrespect, but fans came for basketball, not a branding workshop. They paid for buckets, not buzzwords. Expecting applause on demand? That's not empowerment, it's entitlement. Want cheers? Earn them. Because in the arena, respect isn't owed, it's won.
Angel Reese has been doing looks very weird to a lot of people. So throughout the years, Reese has taunted Clark, and at this point, it's apparent that she is not a huge fan of Caitlyn. This came to a point in the previous game where Caitlyn Clark flagrantly fouled Reese, and she got super upset with Caitlyn and called her crazy. The odd thing is, after all these incidents...
At this point, Angel Reese has turned dodging blame into an Olympic sport. 1 minute, she's declaring herself Caitlyn Clark's rival. The next, she's baffled by why Clark is adored while she's booed. Let's not forget, this is the same Angel who famously waved off Clark with the now iconic ring gesture in college, basking in the heat and doubling down afterward. She built this rivalry, brick by brick. But now that the fire's spreading, suddenly she's shocked by the burn that lets break it down. Angel shoves a Fever player mid-game, and Clark responds with a clean hip check, because newsflash, basketball isn't ballet. It's a contact sport. But by the next morning, cue the TikToks, the tears, the racism claims, and a public spectacle that's starting to look like a Netflix docuseries in the making. Angel set the stage, no doubt. But now the spotlight's too bright, the crowd too loud, and the narrative spinning way out of bounds. This isn't just rivalry anymore. It's reputation management with a side of chaos. Asterisk, asterisk.
People who saw the way Angel's been treating Caitlyn, bopping her upside the head, pushing her down in another game, taunting her in another game in college, talking slick about her in the media. And the one time Caitlyn lays a finger on you, you flop and then get up and act like you in the projects in Baltimore and somebody just sliced your face with a razor or something.
Let's be clear, real racism exists, and it deserves to be called out. But when every boo from a rival crowd gets spun into a civil rights crisis, we're not fighting injustice, we're diluting it. Angel Reese getting booed in Indiana? That's not oppression. That's called professional sports. Ask LeBron how Boston treats him. Philly fans will boo Santa Claus if you give them a reason. It's not hate, it's home court energy. But instead of taking it on the chin, Reese and her camp hit the social media panic button, flipping crowd noise into a hate crime headline. Suddenly, it wasn't just boos, it was bias, bigotry, and a full-blown cultural catastrophe. Posts flew, think pieces bloomed, and the moment was woke-washed into a movement, like they had the "we were mistreated" tweet saved in drafts. Just waiting for Clark to get one more cheer than Angel to here's the twist. Reese's fans have spent weeks mocking Caitlyn Clark, nitpicking her stats, clowning her every move. And that was all fair game, right? That was rivalry. That was just basketball. But the minute the crowd flips and shows Clark love, suddenly the WNBA is toxic and unsafe, and someone needs to intervene. The problem isn't the rivalry, it's the double standard. It's the shifting rules based on who's winning the narrative. And when that happens, it doesn't just undermine one player. It undercuts the entire sport. Asterisk, asterisk.
Yeah, there's no place for that in our game. There's no place for that in society. And, certainly we want every person that comes into our arena, whether player, whether fan, to have a great experience. So, hopefully the investigation will leave that up to them to find anything.
Caitlyn Clark's biggest crime? Existing. Breathing. Being so good that her presence spikes ticket prices and sells out arenas before she even laces up. She's not just a basketball player. She's an economic engine with a jump shot. A walking GDP in Nikes. But instead of celebrating the fact that she's dragging national attention into the WNBA spotlight, some players are crying foul. Why? Because, gasp, she's stealing the spotlight. As if that's not the entire point of having superstars. Now we've got people seriously calling to punish Indiana Fever fans. The same fans filling seats, boosting ratings, and finally giving the league the attention it's been begging for. That's not just irony, it's comedy. That's like McDonald's banning fries because they're too popular. And let's be honest, Angel Reese? Her rocket to relevance is riding shotgun in Caitlyn Clark's media storm. If Clark wasn't in the league, Ree might be a solid rookie on a quiet team. Instead, she's on every headline, trending in every debate. Not because of dominance, but proximity. Clark's gravity pulls everything into orbit, and that includes the drama. This moment? It's not just about rebounds and rivalries. It's about the raw power of star presence. And whether people love her or love to hate her, Caitlyn Clark is the WNBA's main event right now. Period. Asterisk, asterisk.
Is embarrassing. The WNBA did not start playing basketball till Caitlyn Clark joined the league. She's got 3 triple-doubles through 41 games. That's the 3rd most all-time. She hasn't even played 50 games yet, and she's already 3rd all-time in triple-doubles. Like, were they not playing before she joined?
Here's some quick media math. Hate equals engagement. And nobody's playing that game better than Angel Reese's fan base, who've made Caitlyn Clark their favorite punching bag for every grudge they've ever held. It's not enough that Clark dazzles with skill and style. They need her to stumble, to beg forgiveness at the altar of their collective bitterness. You'd think Reese's college titles, WNBA draft pick, endorsements, and loyal fans would be enough to keep them satisfied. Nope. Clark's very existence and success is just too much to handle. Welcome to the twisted rulebook. Booing equals racism, playing tough defense equals violence, and outperforming your rival equals oppression. Makes perfect sense. If you flunked logic class but somehow mastered TikTok drama.at this rate, the WNBA should host a seminar called How to Handle Being Second Best Without Starting a Riot. Or maybe even start a support group. Rumor has it Angel Reese is already planning the first meeting. Guest speakers TBD. Bottom line? The obsession with tearing Clark down only shows how threatened some are by her talent and star power. Instead of cheering excellence, they'd rather drown it in shade. Asterisk, asterisk.
These attention-seeking strategies all ending in huge embarrassing failure, perhaps Angel Reese thought the best way to satisfy her unending desire to be validated was to win pretend basketball games in the WNBA. But the problem with this strategy, Angel Reese is not an impact.
Bottom line, if you want the spotlight, get ready for the heat. Own the villain role, and don't act shocked when the crowd treats you like one. If every time the fans don't shower you with love you throw a tantrum, maybe consider a career on Broadway. At least there, booing is part of the act. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark keeps doing what she does best. Showing up, sinking shots, cashing endorsements, and dragging the WNBA into the mainstream. But instead of celebrating her trailblazing success, some fixate on the booing, because nothing screams support for women's sports like tearing down the player who's actually putting them on the map. Now the drama's full Broadway level. Commentators, influencers, and Twitter philosophers lecturing us like Clark committed a crime by being the crowd favorite. Apparently, playing well and getting cheered is now controversial. She should be canceled for making shots and not crying mid-dribble. Angel Reese's fans have declared facts optional, feelings gospel, and booing a microaggression. In their world, if the stadium doesn't give Angel a standing ovation every time she jogs down the court, it's systemic oppression. Forget scoreboards, this is about vibes. You either vibe with Angel or you're branded a bigot. Welcome to the new WNBA, where emotion and identity politics have more court time than basketball itself. Asterisk, asterisk.
Angel Reese goes into, I'll be happy to play the villain role. I'll be happy to play the villain, but don't be mean to me. Don't be mean to me. But I'll be happy to play the villain role, because in 20 years, I'll look back and say, yeah, they're not just watching because of one player. They're watching because of me too. And I want y'all to realize